Hello, good morning. This is Dr. Iftikhar Ahmed Ansari, Department of Political Science, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Friends, today I am going to talk about the concept of equality, and with that concept, which I have already presented in my previous video, I will be talking about the dimension of equality. So, equality that we have understood so far is about equality of opportunity, and equality of opportunity with an assurance that opportunities are availed by all the members of society, even if they are deprived sections, they will be provided through certain concessions or affirmative concessions or distinctions, kind of a reservation, and certain socio-economic measures will be taken to reduce the inequality and their capacity to reach to those opportunities. So, this is what equality we have come to understand through the previous video that was presented. Today I am going to talk about the various dimensions of equality which we need to understand, like what are those dimensions. So, equality is possibly, it is a most popular concept, no doubt, and it has been provided different meaning by different philosophers in different times of times of period. Like in ancient period, the equality was considered as treating equals equally and unequals unequally. So, they believed in inequality basically, and in modern age with advancement of technology, we believe more in reducing that inequality and bringing about proportional equality in society. So, the situation has changed, and with the change in situation, certain dimensions of equality needs to be understood. So, we have generally four major and certain other dimensions, that is legal dimension, which will talk about legally how we are considered or on what grounds we are to be considered equal, and then political dimension, that is what are those actions which make us equal, and what are those activities in politics which will bring about equality in society. Then social dimensions, then socially what means, what absence of what will mean equality, or presence of what will lead to inequality, that we will understand. And then economic dimensions, that is providing a certain kind of affirmative measures to individuals to bring about equality and ensure that they are equal in society, is what we are going to understand in today's video. So, talking about legal dimension of equality. So, legal equality basically means the state cannot behave as per its wishes with its citizen. So, as per the law, all citizens are equal, they have equal access to law and they are equal before law. So, everyone should get the same protection by law. So, British constitutional arrangement, the rule of law is the arrangement to obtain this legal equality that we are talking about. Now, certain things which can be considered as legally equal are, like, first is equality before law. Now, this means that everyone is equal in front of law, and the state will make only one law for all citizens and will implement these laws equally among them. So, according to Jennings, this means that in same circumstances, behavior of the law will remain same for everyone. An English lawyer, Dicey, has described equality before law as, in our country, every officer, whether he is a prime minister or police constable or a tax collector, all will be held equally responsible for the illegal work as any other ordinary citizen. Then equal protection of law, that is another component of legal equality. So, here equality in front of law is negative aspect of law, but along with that there is a positive aspect, that is the equal protection of law. That means all citizens of the state will not have any differentiation in regard to the freedom provided to its citizens through the law and facilities provided in the field of life and health. So, this includes the fact that every person gets the protection from the law to protect his rights. And Indian Constitution itself says in Article 14 that state will not avoid anyone or devoid anyone from the equality of law and equal protection of law in India. Now, equality is also understood in context of the duties. So, in the concept of equality of law, it's also included that along with rights, every citizen will have equal duties. No one will get special facilities on the basis of their birth or their hereditary alliance or their religion or the number of property that they own, and neither their duties will be considered separately from their rights. Now, equality in tax fixation, while fixing a tax, it should be taken care that it is levied equally on everyone. Now, in this context, differentiation can be done on the basis of the capability of giving tax, like those who earn more or those who are capable of paying more taxes, they are taxed on the higher rate, and those who are at certain below margin in their earning, they are exempted from the paying tax to the state. So, more burden on the rich and less on poor is in accordance with the theory of equality of law. Then if any discrimination is to be made, discrimination is made on the basis of any reason. So, reasonable discriminations are something which is allowed. So, the idea of equality of law prohibits only discrimination based on their identities. So, it does not prohibit giving special facilities to special group on the reasonable basis, but the condition is that such conditions, these facilities are for everyone in that group. For example, state can make a law that all those earning less than a particular amount of money will get grain or food at concessional rate or lower rate from the market rates. Or the children of such families will get discount in fees. So, in Indian state, arrangement and facilities given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes come under this category, and the other backward classes are also provided such concessions on the basis of this discrimination which is being done, which is reasonable. Then excuse me, talking about political dimension of equality, it means that all citizens would get equal opportunity to effect the political process. Now, here in these arrangements, discrimination on the basis of birth or their lineage, their family affiliations is a common condition, but democratic arrangement is based on the theory of political equality, which does not allow any such concession. Like if we talk about the voting right, now voting right is the first condition of political equality. Now, this means that without any discrimination on the basis of religion, caste or property, education, everyone should have voting right. So, universal franchise is something which is provided. So, universal suffrage only on the constitutional basis of being minor or bankrupt or insolvent. These are certain conditions where one can be devoid of voting right. Then right to become a candidate in an election. So, citizens should have a right to become a candidate in an election. A person who has affected from, like, who are incapable, which are described in the constitution itself, they are the one who are exempted from standing or contesting election. Otherwise, it is provided under Representation of Indian Act, that is 1951. So, it is important to consider the other aspect of political equality, that is whether opportunity of getting higher education, higher government jobs is available equally to all or not. So, in a class divided society, higher government jobs are generally made available to highly educated young men of ruling class, and by any chance some young men of poor section of society can reach there. So, they are soon integrated into that bureaucratic system of values through bureaucratic process. Now, this is something which is provided equally to all. So, all the youth can apply. So, is there any concession in the form of the economic, in the form where economically poor section they can be given opportunity to stand equally as a candidate for election. So, if you come to other aspects of this political right, or political equality, sorry. So, it is a right to give application. So, citizens should have an equal right to write application and send their complaints to the government. Then right to get government recruitment and awards, again it demands political equality. This dimension demands that equally eligible, all are equally eligible to get government recruitment, and in case of any exceptional skill or talent being shown, they are rewarded and awarded accordingly without any discrimination on the basis of their caste, religion, sex, creed or any other such differentiation. Then right to express and make parties is another component of political equality. So, political equality proves a mere illusion if election or election process and the importance of money in election is not considered. So, the power of electioneering and the control of mass media, it lies with the man of property, and the poor masses, that is, working class parties have no matching power to nullify the effect of ideological power which are vested with bourgeois and the propertied class. So, the workers' equal right to vote becomes meaningless if they are not having the means to sustain themselves, and their votes are most of the time purchased, and they do not cast their vote on the basis of their own rational thinking. It is motivated and guided. So, apart from this, the modern times the functioning of government has become very complex, and real political power vests with the bureaucracy, the police, the army, over whom people have virtually no control. So, talking about another aspect of another dimension of equality, that is social dimension, which is again one of the important dimension of equality, because it implies that every person should be considered equal in society and social life, and there should be no discrimination in the name of religion, their caste or the gender or place of birth. Now, when we say social equality, it means that every citizen must have equality of opportunity for the development of his personality, irrespective of his social status or the caste or the color or the sex or the language or the race or education or age. So, men are born with quite different capacities, but for that very reason they should not be deprived of the equality of opportunity. They should be given chances to materialize those talent. So, in this sense, equality is merely a common sense accomplishment of individualism. Now, there may be rational discussions in society with regard to the occupation and profession, but the feeling of inferiority and superiority should not be attached to this kind of thinking. So, the social status and prestige of a man should not be determined by their aristocratic birth or their birth in a poor family. The fundamental rights given under Indian Constitution, it basically makes a special provision to enforce this social dimension through Article 17, when it banishes and bans untouchability and makes it an punishable offence. So, social equality demands that there should be no inhuman condition like female infanticide or sati pratha, which used to be there earlier, and legislations are made and enforced to bring about the humane condition. So, all in all, no one should be considered inferior or superior on the basis of their family identities or their caste or social identities. That discrimination is basically is not in the interest of equality. Then secondly, the women should not be given less right than men, and social equality demands that women should get that equal treatment and respect in equal platform or equal forum. Then social equality stresses on the establishment of such a society in which the social interactions between the human beings should get encouragement, and this interactions means absence of prohibition in marriage relations and eating habits, where it calls for or encourages discrimination or any kind of intermingling is prohibited. So, social inequality can be removed by certain liberal education. Along with that, for the growth of the society, backward people and their economic development is necessary. Then social equality doesn't mean that state cannot gather special facilities for women or children and backward classes. So that discrimination can be made, but then it has to be some logical and rational grounds. Then if we talk about economic dimension, we find that the wealth is most important, and it is creation, it's a basis of creation of private property, and which creates the differences. So Rousseau, in his famous book Social Contract, has written that the policy of the government should be such that it neither increases the number of beggars and nor the number of rich people in a society. Now this implies that there should not be economic disparity in society. So economic disparities pollute the entire structure of society, and Aristotle considered this inequality in economic attainment of the people as the reason responsible for revolution. So according to Lasky, in the country in which wealth and means of production are in the hands of some limited people, their money completely overpowers politics, and culture, educational institute and judiciary, they are the only subordinate to those people who are owning it. So not only this, but every religious organization are directed by money. So Robert Dahl has considered political stability and economic inequality, which are related to each other. So wherever there is inequality in economic achievements, the stability of political system or that country is in danger. So if you want to maintain the political stability, the democratic form of government, then we have to bring a kind of economic equality by appropriate distribution of resources in the form of land, or reforms in tax process and extension of educational facilities. So when we talk about aspects of economic equality, so we find that minimum materialistic requirements among the people, which the people have from different sections of the society, it should be provided to them and it should be fulfilled. And this can be done till everyone does not get the basic requirements of food, clothing, shelter. Unless everyone gets that, no one should be given these things in luxury. So everyone should get the facility of employment, enough wages, and appropriate leave. So people should get help from the state in condition of unemployment, old age, sickness or handicap. These are the aspects of economic dimension. So men and women should get equal wages, and it should not be differentiated on the basis of the sex, because the amount of work which is done by one as an individual, being a woman, is also done by men. So both should get equality of pay. This is what is demanded where it is not enforced. So everyone should get such opportunity through which they can develop their personality. It includes the fact that children of poor families or the socially backward classes, they should get facilities so that they can develop their personality or individuality through that. So wealth and means of production of the state, it should not be centralized in the hands of some people, and in this context such an arrangement should be made that few people on the basis of ownership of the means of production should not be able to exploit the larger mass of people. So severe economic inequalities should be avoided, and it is not possible to obtain the condition of complete equality, but the policy of state should be such that this inequality is reduced to the minimum. So economic equality can be obtained only on the basis of some solid work that the state can provide to individuals. So all in all, if we see, we find that there is a kind of a relationship between equality and liberty. A common man, generally the same educated one, they think that the socialist states like Russia or China, they find there is, they believe there is equality and liberty is something which is missing. And in liberal democratic states, liberty is there, but equality is not. So thinkers and writers are divided in two camps on various issues concerning the relationship between equality and liberty. So let's talk about and see whether they are compatible or incompatible in the situation. So, equality and liberty are regarded as opposed to each other by writers and thinkers such as Lord Acton, Tocqueville, then Bigot, Stephen Hogg, Hayek, Friedman, Mosca, Pareto, elitist thinkers of democracy. So, they are the ones who believe that they are inimical to each other. So, liberty, they say, is natural as also is in inequality. So, inequality is natural. Nature has created everyone unequal. So, why should we act against the nature and try to bring about equality of sorts? So, by nature, liberty and equality are opposed to each other. Secondly, they say that liberty means negative liberty or the absence of any restraint or coercion, whereas equality needs some restraint or some kind of a coercion or some kind of a leveling, which is against the principle of liberty. So, according to this view, the economic condition of man is dependent on his personal ability rather than on the society. So, the liberty of private property is natural and it cannot be restricted in the interest of equality. Thus, they maintain that equality leads to negation of the liberty to private property. So, in order to create equality in society, the power of the state are to be increased, and increased in the power of the state will always threaten the liberty of individual. So, here the liberty and authority are seen as opposed to each other. So, argument gets support from the political practices too. In the name of economic equality, various states have unnecessarily increased their power and attacked the rights and liberties of citizens. Thus, the liberty is opposed to equality on the ground that equality needs positive state, whereas liberty needs a minimal state, negative state. So, it is sometimes said that without capitalism, the power of the state cannot be checked, and without this type of check, liberty is always in danger. Thus, capitalism is helpful to liberty. On the other hand, equality and capitalism cannot go side by side. So, liberty means maintenance of capitalism and equality needs its overthrow. So, thus both are opposed to each other. This argument has been put forward by Milton Friedman, and supporters of elitist theory of democracy. They maintain that without an elite, democracy will change into mobocracy and populism, and liberty will have no place in such a system. So, without an elite, neither will democracy be there nor liberty. So, presence of an elite means inequality. So, equality and liberty are against each other, they are not the same. Now, if we look for compatibility between these two views, two ideas, liberty and equality, we find that thinkers and writers who support the view of compatibility between these two are Maitland, then Rousseau, then Arland, Tawney, Lasky. So, Marxism also maintains that these two are not opposed to each other. Now, the arguments which they provide that without equality there will be special privileges and liberty is impossible in such a society. So, during the 18th century, equality was understood as abolition of aristocratic special privileges, and because of this it was understood that liberty and equality are not opposed to each other. So, equality by birth was the basis of the theory of equal liberty for all, but during the 19th century, the economic and social dimension of the equality were emphasized, and equality was found opposed to the liberty of private property. However, the fact remains that in a society of unequals, equal liberty cannot be there, and freedom of few becomes unfreedom of majority of people. So, without the satisfaction of economic needs, liberty cannot be realized. So, an interest in liberty begins when men have ceased to be overwhelmed by the problem of sheer existence and the leisure of thought. These are the primary conditions of a free man. So, without equality, there will be conflict and disorder in society, and in such a society, neither security nor liberty will be there. So, the essential condition for both liberty and equality are peace, order and security. So, in a society of economic unequals or gross inequalities or a conflict which are inherent in this, equality and liberty cannot be ensured. So, there is need to check the private property and control on unlimited profit. So, what basically we find is equality and liberty, they need to check on private property, and without equality this democracy which it cannot sustain. So, and Marxism has analyzed this issue of equality and liberty scientifically, and it maintains that liberty and equality can be made available only in a classless society, because by its very nature state is itself a class of people who are dominating it. So, the object of liberty and equality is the same, that is the development of personality of man. So, without equality the object of liberty will also remain unrealizable. So, without equality democracy cannot work, it becomes unworkable. There cannot be a word be democratic government without equality, and without democratic government equal or equality power, political power will be vested in the hands of few who are economically stronger. So, instead of democracy it will be reduced to plutocracy. So, a state divided into small number of rich and small number of poor will always develop a government which is manipulated by the rich to protect the amenities and facilities represented by the property. So, political equality therefore is never real unless it is accompanied by virtual economic equality. Now, what you find in conclusion, that these two opposite views regard the relationship of equality and liberty. The view that liberty and equality are not opposite to each other is more appropriate, as without a society of equals there cannot be equal liberty for all. So, if liberty is viewed as positive thing, then naturally equality, socio-economic or political or legal, is the first condition required for the realization of that liberty. So, however, if liberty is viewed merely as a negative thing or merely as a liberty of private property, then it will be opposed to socio-economic equality. So, the fundamental question concerning the relationship of liberty and equality is that of private property and its control. So, with private property neither can positive liberty be there, nor socio-economic equality can be brought about, neither democracy nor a stable peaceful society can be conceived. So, all in all, there is no conflict and no tussle between the rights, that is the liberty and equality. Both can complement each other and both are possible in a society which is equitable and which shares or somehow finds a balance between these two ideas which guide society towards its harmonious balance and towards the fullest development of individual who make a society and state possible. So, with that I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.